That night Arin dreamed again, but these weren't the soft, wandering dreams of children. There were no playful beaches, no mango trees, no bicycle races on dusty Moruga roads. This dream was heavy, hot, and far too real. He was standing in a forest of tall, blackened tree trunks. They seemed to bend inward, crowding around him like silent, twisted watchers. The air shimmered with a strange heat, but the ground beneath his bare feet was damp and cold, like wet clay in a fresh grave. Then he saw it. Something was glowing between the trees, a soft, red pulsing light, slow and patient, like the breathing of something huge that was asleep, but stirring. The light throbbed, and every time it brightened, Arin's chest tightened as if a giant hand had squeezed all the air out of him. He instinctively took a step back. The glow brightened in response. He took another step back, and it grew brighter still. Then a voice slid into the dream. It wasn't spoken aloud, not something you could hear with your ears. It was a thought planted directly into his mind. Arin. His name stretched out like warm, coiling smoke. Arin froze, his breath trembling in his chest. Come. The pulsing red glow began to float closer, weaving between the twisted trees. It shimmered like a burning, beating heart suspended in the air. As it drew near, Arin could see shapes swirling inside the light flickers of skin, of lips, a face that looked half melted and half formed. It was a horrifying, incomplete thing. He tried to scream, but the air refused to move in his lungs. He was trapped in silence. The voice returned, much closer now, a whisper right beside his ear. They took my skin, but you can give it back. The glowing mass suddenly surged forward with a terrifying hunger, and Arin finally wrenched himself awake, gasping, drenched in sweat, his fingertips burning with an unnatural cold. He scrambled upright in his bed, his heart pounding so violently he thought it might just burst right through his ribs. "Kamer!" he shouted, his voice raw with panic. The bedroom door slammed open, and his older brother, Kamer, rushed in, fear already smeared across his face. "Arin, what happened? What is it?" Arin was shaking too hard to speak for several long seconds. He just pointed toward the window, his eyes wide. Finally, he managed to choke out the words, She coming back." Kamer's blood ran cold. He tried to be the strong older brother. "Is just a nightmare, Arin, a bad dream, no." Arin grabbed his brother's wrist, his grip surprisingly strong. "It wasn't a dream. She talked to me. She say she want back she skin." The whole house seemed to get colder in that instant, as if the moonlight streaming through the window recoiled at the words he'd just spoken. Before Kamer could even think of a reply, something else interrupted the chilling silence. A soft tap, tap, tap on the window pane. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't a branch scratching against the glass. It was 3 slow, steady, deliberate knocks. Kamer immediately reached for the cutlass that these days never left his side. He clutched. "Its worn handle, Arin. Stay behind me." He approached the window carefully, his own hands now slick with sweat. The knocking came again, slow, patient, and deeply unnatural. Kamer raised the cutlass high, ready to strike. With a deep breath, he flung the wooden shutters open and saw nothing. There was absolutely nothing there, just the familiar darkness of the yard and the still, kneeling shape of a stray cat staring up at him with wide, unblinking yellow eyes. The cat didn't meow, it didn't move, it didn't even seem to be breathing. It just stared. Arin whimpered from behind him, "Kamer, look under it." Kamer hesitated for a second, then leaned slightly out the window, his eyes following Arin's terrified gaze, and then he froze. The ground directly beneath the cat was glowing faintly, a soft, pulsing red, alive, just like in Arin's dream. As they watched in horror, the cat's mouth opened not in a meow, but in a slow, unnatural gape, wider than any cat's mouth should go. And a voice whisper crawled out of it, a voice that was thick and wrong, dripping with a terrifying ancient hunger. "Give me." My skin Kamer stumbled back from the window, slamming the shutters closed so hard they rattled on their hinges. Arin clung to him, his small body shaking violently. Kamer, is she watching us? Kamer held his little brother tight, his own eyes locked on the trembling shutters, his mind racing, we going by Jules. Now, Jules was the old woman in the village who knew about these things, about the Sukuyan. But before they could even take a step toward the door, a thin trail of smoke began to seep in from underneath it. It wasn't normal smoke. This smoke glowed with a faint red light at the edges, and with it came a smell that filled the entire room, the horrifying, sickening smell of burnt skin. They were trapped. She wasn't just watching anymore. She was inside. Thanks for tuning into this chilling tale. If you want to find out what happens to Arin and Kamer, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the next chapter. Stay safe and see you next time.